Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. And I know you don't usually see my face popping up at the start of the week, but lately there have been so many new makeup releases that I have actually been interested in. And in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at a new concealer from Mac, and it's the Studio Radiance 24-Hour Luminous Lift Concealer. It has been a minute since Mac graced us with a brand new concealer. So if you are interested in seeing how this Mac concealer performs, then please do keep on watching. So here is the Mac concealer, and can we just take a minute to appreciate this packaging? Really seem to be stepping up their packaging. Not that it matters to a lot of people, but I just love this gold and black packaging. I think it's so gorgeous. If you didn't already know, Mac already have a Studio Radiance foundation, and this was released last year. This was one of my first ever videos, by the way, on the Mac Studio Radiance. It's a serum powered foundation. I thought I would absolutely love it. It's been hit and miss for me, to be honest. I think a lot of us choose foundations based on what our MAC foundation shade was, but shades have changed within MAC. So whatever you think you are in a MAC concealer or a MAC foundation, you're probably not that shade anymore. So if you are an NC25, for example, in the Studio Fix, you're not going to be an NC25 in the Studio Radiance or in this new concealer. So please do not blindly go out and choose a concealer based on your usual MAC shade, because you're not going to be that shade anymore. So I cautiously picked my shade and I played it safe. I read the description and I went with the shade that matches my new NC shade. So I went for NC17. If you look at the shade descriptions, they are very, very helpful. NC17 is described as a light beige with neutral undertone. You really need to be looking at whether a concealer is actually going to suit your under eyes. So let's have a look at what this concealer claims to be. So this concealer retails for £26 and it comes in 44 shades. It is infused with 80% skincare ingredients. It is a radiant concealer which gives 24-hour medium buildable coverage and 90% instant hydration. It contains 31 hydrating, illuminating and plumping skincare ingredients. Okay, so listen to these ingredients because some of these ingredients may not suit you and your skin type. It contains niacinamide, vitamin C, and also hyaluronic acid. It also contains olive and jojoba oils to condition the skin. It's also non-comedogenic, which means it will not break you out. And obviously it has the usual claims of being fade free and crease free, and it also claims to give a natural but radiant finish. This is not a first impression. I have been testing this out and I've had a very mixed experience. I want to demonstrate it for you and then I'll show you some footage that I've taken over the last couple of days just so you can see how it looks in different lighting and at different times of the day. My question for this concealer, because it's luminous, is it going to emphasize my under eye hollows, my under eye bags? And you can see, you know, they're quite significant, especially around here. I'm very, very dark. Usually if you use a luminous or a radiant concealer, you will run the risk of highlighting those bags and making them worse if you do not powder down. So that's why it's always so tricky to try and find a good concealer, because good concealers tend to be very hydrating, but they will emphasize any kind of bag or hollow that you have. I'm going to apply with my usual concealer brush. This is the A506, the Angie Hot and Flashy from BK Beauty, and it will always be my favorite concealer brush. It's fabulous. It has a really chunky kind of doe foot, and I think it's designed to encourage you to dot rather than swipe, and that's the experience I've had, and I quite like it. I like the design. So I have nothing else on my face. I've got my eye makeup done, very basically, and obviously a bit of lippy, but that's it. I don't have anything else on my face, as you can see. So we are just going to just dot here, and my advice is to just dot here. This concealer will go a long way, so let's just blend that out, and I like to kind of bring the concealer down rather than blending up, because up here is where I have my main fine lines. So I want to avoid that area and kind of bring it down and round, and just do that with a tapping motion. how easy that was to blend out. And can you see how it's minimized my eye bag so quickly? It's actually so good for dark circles. So I'm just going to tap out this edge. If that feels like it's not enough for you, then just go in with some more. It's very buildable. I'll just show you it with a little bit more. Just a tiny little amount there. The one thing that I'm going to say that I have noticed with this concealer, there's a few things I've noticed, but one of them, I've been getting a little bit of pilling with it. And I don't know why, because I always prep my under eyes in the same way. I always prep it with this from Beauty Pie. It's just an under eye serum, and I've never had a problem with it. So if you don't know what pilling is, it's basically where there's something in your makeup and your skincare or your base that are not working well together, and it kind of flakes away. And I'm definitely seeing that. I also did try it with just a cream under my eyes, and it did the same thing. I don't know why. But anyway, moving away from that, because that could just be a personal thing to me, there's the difference. So obviously we have the concealer on this eye and nothing on this eye. Now this is my most problematic eye. So the same thing, I'm just going to dot, and I'm going to dot. Just tapping game. Let me just pop a bit more here like I normally would. Just tap that in, just working it into the skin really. It blends so easily. It feels like your skin is absorbing it, and I don't know whether it's your skin absorbing the skincare ingredients that are in this thing. I don't know, but I haven't had any pilling on this side thus far. It's really strange. So we've got just one light layer of this concealer. And let's take a look at the before and after. I think it does a really good job at minimizing those dark circles. However, there are some things about this that you do need to know, and they involve glitter. So I'll be back in a minute. I've just popped a really light layer of makeup on because I want the focus to just be the under eyes. I think that this concealer is very self-setting, which I think is great for those people that don't actually like to use powder. I do know that a lot of people always will want to set their under eyes. Now I think because it's self-setting, I think it does a really good job at minimizing the dark circles and minimizing the eye bags without having to use powder. And I am much happier not using powder, but for those of you that want to use powder, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to go in with my Givenchy powder, just tapping it under the eyes. I actually don't think it makes that much of a difference. So that's with powder. I am going to insert some footage now for you to look at from a day where I did wear test this with no powder, and you will be able to see in daylight that it looks absolutely beautiful. It's completely crease free, and I think it looks really, really flawless. No creasing or settling into any lines. This is a medium coverage, which I definitely think you can build. And in relation to the finish, I think that the finish is very, very natural, as they claim it will be. However, I do think it borders on a soft matte finish. Moving on here to the end of day footage, and as you can see, it definitely has worn away. And I don't usually have a massive problem with concealers wearing away or fading or becoming non-existent by the end of the day, but I do feel like with this one, it does fade. But the one thing that I have noticed about this concealer, it took me a day to notice, but this concealer definitely contains reflective particles. So if you have ever tried the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer, you will know what I'm talking about. So in some concealers, in order to be reflective, they will contain glittery particles. It's not excessive glitter. It's not what you think it's going to be, and some people cannot see it at all. I think with the Charlotte Tilbury, you can see it. I've never had somebody tell me you've got glitter under your eyes, but I can see it. The type of particles that you only really see in artificial lighting. In the daylight, you won't see it. In the car, you don't see it, but it is there. And I actually drove myself mad a couple of the days thinking, am I imagining this? Are there actually particles in this? Because it's not like the Charlotte Tilbury, it's not as obvious, but it's very, very subtle, but it is there. And for that reason, I won't use this on the rest of my face. I did when I first got it. I tried it for spot concealing. It was fine. I won't use something like that with reflective particles on my face, but it's important that you know that they are there before you invest in this, because it's not cheap. £26 is a lot of money for a concealer. In my wear tests over the last few days, I have been a little bit disappointed with how it's performed, because I feel like it is quite drying by the end of the day on my under eyes. Yet sometimes towards the end of a day, I do get a little bit of texture under my eyes, and it feels dry. I don't know whether it's the ingredients that's in the concealer that are just not agreeing with my under eyes. I'm not sure if you can see. It looks like crepiness. I don't usually get that with a concealer, and I'm going to insert daylight footage now of my under eyes right now and how crepey they actually look. You know, I'm 42 in a couple of weeks. I have the lines, I have the wrinkles. I am usually pretty good at keeping my face hydrated, especially my under eyes. I always prep them, and I always prep them in the same way. This concealer doesn't seem to be marrying with me and my under eyes, and I don't feel like it feels that hydrating, and I'm so disappointed. However, my experience isn't necessarily going to be the same as yours. So I would be really interested to hear, if you pick this up, what your experience is with it. As I said, the first day I used it, I loved it. And I don't know whether with continued use, those ingredients are just not sitting well under my eyes, because it is causing some pilling, it's causing some crepiness. Your under eyes are a very sensitive area, and I never bombard my under eyes. I never put vitamin C under my eyes. I never put niacinamide under my eyes. The only thing I use under my eyes is hyaluronic acid. So I'm wondering if that's what it is. Maybe those ingredients are just not working for me. I think at the end of the year, when I'm reflecting upon the makeup that I've used this year, I will give you an update on this concealer. But at the moment, I don't know. We're just not working. We're not gelling very well together, unfortunately. Okay, there we are for another video. I have a few more new product reviews coming up. I have the brand new Catrice foundation, which I'm currently testing out, the brand new Dior foundation stick. I will be getting a review out for that at some point soon. Yeah, lots and lots to come. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, take care and bye for now.